right, Nichols Retirement Empire. I have a beautiful view here today. Not in the boat. Cleaned the boat up this morning. I'm gonna go home in the morning. Thought I'd fish from the shore tonight and enjoy myself. The other night, now this really isn't fair. The other night, I'll have to tell you what Tammy did. Kind of ridiculous. Yeah, the other night, I'm watching Facebook or something, and she goes, well, I was live today for an hour, so I'll watch it. Getting a bite here. Uh-oh. This might be a fish. Hang on. False alarm. Anyway, so I go and I watch Facebook, and she made, the best way to describe it is like a giant Swiss cake roll. I mean giant, like that big around. It was chocolate cake with like buttercream with double the butter in it. And then a chocolate ganache on top of the whole thing after she had a whole sheet cake and rolled it up. Rolled it up into y'all know what a cinnamon cake roll is? I mean a Swiss cake roll is, right? She made a giant Swiss cake roll. And you know how much I got of that? 0. Yep, I'm fishing and they're paddleboarding right over the top of my line. Well, at least they moved out a little bit. That's nice of them. I'm just glad they're not on jet skis. Sunset video for you. Here in Florida. Lovely scene out here. Now if I could just catch some fish or not, that'd be nice. Whether I catch them or not, I got to sit here. Yeah, one reason I need to get home. Wow, the sunrise behind the neck. Pretty cool. Only on Nichols Retirement Empire do you get that. Wait, what happened? Oh, I guess the sun moved. Anyway, another reason I need to get home is the state of Georgia, who pays me my retirement money, has not correctly paid me my retirement money yet. Apparently this is not unusual. It takes them a while to get it sorted out. They have to figure out how many sick days you have and then make an adjustment to your pay based on your retirement days, based on the number of sick days that you accrued, which is a pretty good deal. That's why I got to retire a whole year early. But they need to get it fixed, and the holdup I discovered today is the first county that I worked at, which is Lumpkin County, which is in the mountains of north central Georgia, apparently does not have a record of me working there for the first 4 years that I worked. So they could not tell them how many sick days. They didn't keep records, so they can't tell them how many sick days I had. And then on the form, apparently they put a question mark for one of the answers. You can't put a question mark for an answer on a state form. Question mark doesn't get it. They need like real answers. So I have to get home and contact them and text them, fax them, and tweet them and everything to get them to fix it. It's not really surprising that they didn't keep records of their employees, considering where it is. Not trying to disparage the people of Lumpkin County in any way, but I'll put it this way. When I first got a job there, The state still allowed counties, which I guess nobody does this anymore, but they would elect their school superintendent. So it could be, anybody that ran. It could be school superintendent. So there was a guy that worked at the school that was the automotive teacher. And the kids actually called him Gomer, like on Andy Griffith. Gomer, Goober and Gomer. Y'all remember Goober and Gomer? Well, anyway, Gomer was the auto mechanics teacher. And I don't remember his name at this point in time, which I probably shouldn't say his name. But anyway, he got the idea he was going to run for superintendent. And he won the superintendent's race. And you want to talk about a miserable guy, that poor guy. I mean, he did it, everybody liked him. He was the nicest guy. The kids loved him very well. That's why he won. Everybody liked him. But once he got the job, man, that poor guy, you can talk about a fish out of water now. He was used to wearing coveralls and stuff, and he did not like whenever he wore a shirt and tie, it looked like, like you just washed it in the dryer and took it out and put it on. He couldn't tie a tie. He looked miserable. You ever heard the term monkey suit? You could tell that's what he thought of what he was wearing, like it was a monkey suit. He hated wearing that stuff. I've never seen anybody that's so obviously hated the clothes they were in. It's that guy. Oh, it was so funny. And I may be wrong, but I'm pretty positive that after about halfway through his term, he just quit. He was just like, I can't do it. This job is not for me. He was obviously miserable. But anyway, he was the superintendent for a little while. And that was the period of time when my records do not exist. Not saying it's his fault. I'm sure it wasn't his fault. I can assure you he had no earthly idea where the records were, what the records were, why we needed records. He just knew he was having to wear a tie, and he hated it. He never shaved either. He had the beard growth all the time, and it wasn't a fashion thing. It wasn't like, you know how for a while there in the 80s, and was it the 80s or the 90s, where the kind of comes and goes, where, you have the fashionable growth. Not like now, where you got the full out mountain man beard. Not that. But just the didn't shave look. He liked the didn't shave look. Or maybe he just didn't shave. Remember what Jimmy Carter looked like when he was president? How he looked like he had the weight of the world on, which he did, because he was president. But just to remember how he looked. I mean, he looked like a man. Being in office aged Jimmy Carter. Well, that's the way this guy was. Being in office those 5 or 6 months, whatever it was, aged him considerably. It was a great place to work. And back then, I don't know how these teachers, the people coming out of college now, if you saw what it was like when I came out of college, you would just be amazed. I mean, there was no pressure really whatsoever. I mean, my first year, nobody even came in my room. I didn't have a single observation my whole first year. Nobody ever came in my room to see what I was doing. The principal came through one time. I remember he came to my room one time, and that school was crazy. That school did not even have doors. We just had partitions. They had partitioned the building off, and everybody just had partitions between the rooms and openings, and no doors at all. It's called the middle school concept. that was a building concept. But anyway, I remember him coming by my opening one day, and he looked around, and he looked really odd. It was really looking like, what in the world? And I thought, what's wrong, you know? And I got up and went over there, and I said, do you need something? He goes, oh, I didn't see you. What it was, I was sitting down in a desk next to one of the kids, you know, helping them with their work or whatever, and he didn't see me. I guess he expected me to be sitting at my desk, but I was sitting out there helping this kid. He goes, oh, I didn't see you. You look like one of the kids. And turned around and walked off, and I was thinking, I just thought how weird that was, that he said I looked like one of the kids. I mean, I had a Magnum PI mustache. Big, full mustache. How could I look like one of the kids? But in my later years in education, every teacher that came out looked like one of the kids to me. They all looked like they were 12 years old. Yeah, I didn't do lesson plans. We had standards that we were supposed to follow, and I remember that we had standards because one of the other teachers took me into one of the workrooms and opened this filing cabinet and opened the bottom drawer and pointed down to this file and said, in that file, there's the standards. So if you need the standards, that's where they are. And they shut the door, the drawer. And that was the only time I ever saw the standards in the whole 4 years I was there. I just knew they were in that filing cabinet. So there's where the standards were. And basically, they gave me a book, not a teacher's edition, because we didn't have teacher's editions. There wasn't any money back. Apparently there was no money back then. 1989, there must have been, you know, I know the Depression was like in the 20s, but apparently 1989 was the second depression of having money in schools, because we didn't have any supplies. I mean, they didn't even want you running stuff off and handing out paper. I mean, we didn't have anything. I don't know how they paid us, but anyway, so there's where the standards were, the one set of standards, and I never looked at them. And they gave us a book, and I got a student book, like I said, no teacher's book, no workbooks, nothing like that, just books. And I started on page 1, and I taught until I ran out of time. And that was my lesson plans. Start here, in there. And that's what we did. Did kids learn? I think they did. I know one thing. I didn't get fired, and there wasn't a test. The test was the test that I gave them, and then I determined if they learned, and I felt like they did. So, prove that they didn't, if you're so smart.